Dick, I'm back.
Welcome back to another DC Breakdown with Harley Quinn Season 5, Episode 5. We're taking a break away from Brainiac this episode, where we're going to be diving into the Bat family. And in this week's episode, we're going to be breaking it down, talking about the Easter egg and references, and some of the little hidden details within it, as well as the origin of who Red X is and how he pertains to the show. With that, let's jump into the start of the episode, where we have Frank being back with the gang. He was on vacation before, but now he's come home to be with his family. And I love the joke here when Sean comes into the room, where Frank talks about how he's not a child, and in plan years he's actually 90 years old, which they play on the entire episode of him being actually really old and not really a kid. So just kind of like this fun moments with Frank being back. I like Frank. He's loud, he's obnoxious, but he's always a fun time with his random quips here and there. But I thought this episode started off interesting, showing that Harley Quinn is having nightmares of the skull, pointing back to Brainiac's ship and how they were abducted and placed back on Earth. And the thing is, to deal with this kind of struggle of sleeping, she's just been cleaning, non-stop cleaning. She doesn't have a job, so it's the only thing she can do with her time. So I thought this was an interesting twist on her chaotic self, where she usually leaves a mess everywhere she goes. But of course, that doesn't last long when Sean appears at their door, because he ran away from his family. And I'm pretty sure Sean was the most shit disturber shark, so of course he has to come and start wrecking their apartment by destroying their shower, trying to eat Frank, and just causing overall chaos for the family. And I love how they just drag him along for the little adventure they go on today, because he's just like a little side character that's just causing shit, but also just having a little bit of fun while he's there. And I love how Harley in this moment calls Bruce to come fix the shower, because he is the owner of the building, but he's like, I don't do that stuff, you gotta call Alfred. He's the one that deals with that stuff because he's the building manager. And they talk about how Bruce got him out of jail for a bit because he needed his butler to come and help out take care of the building. Because if you remember from last season, Alfred intentionally got himself sent to prison in hopes to get sent to Blackgate to be with Bruce Wayne, but instead he got sent to Arkham. So his whole goal to be sent with Bruce to be with them did not go as well as planned. But after season 4, he did make his way to Blackgate, but Bruce had left at that point because of Harley Quinn and Ivy blowing up his buildings in Gotham. And I love how when they go to Bruce's tower to go to his party, you have Harley bringing Sean on a leash, which is kind of like how people in real life have their kids on an actual leash because their kids just run off without them knowing, and that's how they can control them. So I thought that was kind of funny, especially because he's a shark. He's an actual animal. They put an actual leash on him because Harley Quinn doesn't want him running amok in Bruce Wayne's place. And I love when they show up to Bruce's place, where there's only like 3 people. There's Bruce, Damian, and Lois. And they play the joke like, hey, Lois, I didn't know you owned a condo. But it's because Superman owns a condo that Bruce Wayne gave him, because Batman and Superman are friends. So I thought that was a nice little nod there, and just like a fun moment to their friendship. And I love how they joke that no one else is showing up because of the fact that all these other people from Saudi Arabia own the condos. Kind of a reference to the real world, where people buy out entire units in a building and then don't have anyone living in them. I know that all too well from living in the lower mainland in BC, because that is all our real estate and it sucks. But then the Joker shows up and everyone's shocked because he's here, and he does not know that Bruce Wayne is actually Batman, unlike the comics where Joker does figure out the Batman and the Bat family's secret identities. And he's now in Gotham because his stepdaughter Sophia got an internship there, so they went and bought a condo so that they could live there as well. Just slowly putting more villains into Metropolis that lived in Gotham, bringing all the Harley Quinn main cast that's been around for all the seasons and bringing them for a reason to be here. And all the reasons, for the most part, have had to do with them having kids and having to find a better life for them, other than Clayface, who just took over the Daily Planet. We also find out in this episode that Damian was dating Raven from the Teen Titans, which is a reference to the DC animated universe, because in that universe, Damian Wayne and Raven were dating, and they were together by the end of it. However, in the comics, that's not a thing. They don't actually date in the comics. But I did love how that was a nod to the other DC properties. Plus, when we later in the episode, when we see him texting her, we see her icon pop up, which is that classic Teen Titans icon from the Teen Titans TV series. However, as we move forward and they're starting to have their dinner, we see a big portrait on the wall for Dick Grayson, showing him as the star of the family that Bruce cares about the most, because he was his first son. But then we have Joker pointing out to another one of his wards on the wall, which is Jason Todd. Joker asking about what happened to him, even though he's the one that killed him with the crowbar, not knowing Jason Todd was Robin. So fun little Easter egg there to kind of go with the death in the family arc from the Batman series, as well as having other characters on the wall like his father and his mother, and then 2 cats who are dressed up like Martha and Thomas Wayne. Now, the only character not on this wall that would go with this Bat family that's already created would be Tim Drake, which I can't remember exactly, but I don't think we've actually seen Tim Drake in this series, which means he's just forgotten about, like he always ends up being forgotten about. We also have in the scene as well how Lois is talking about how Perry only has her covering middle school theater, and that's because of Clayface just sending her to do these shitty stories that she does not want to do because Clayface is now running the Daily Planet. I love how they nod to that from a couple episodes ago, continuing a little kind of meme the Daily Planet is slowly turning into because of Clayface running it. But then that's when we have Alfred coming in, and he refuses to fix Harley Quinn's shower because she put an illegal modification in it, and it makes it so that any kind of damage to the unit is invalid now because they did modification. And I think that's funny because I feel like that's an actual thing that happens where if you make any modifications to your suite, something goes wrong, they won't fix it because you ruined it yourself. A perfect excuse to save money. But then you have Harley Quinn threatening him, and all of a sudden everything goes dark and Alfred is dead on the ground. Well, at least seemingly dead. And I thought this was like fun because it turned into like this murder mystery part of the episode, like who killed Alfred? And I love how it was Harley Quinn holding a knife and Bruce saying it doesn't take the world's greatest detective to figure it out, as Harley Quinn is clearly guilty. But I do love how that's a reference to the Batman because he is the world's greatest detective. And after Harley Quinn and Ivy take off because they have to prove their innocence because she didn't actually kill Alfred, they run into Damian's room where we actually get a couple little Easter egg references to Damian Wayne, where we have him having a little Batman figure in the corner of the room, a Godzilla painting, as well as a picture of his mom, Talia. He also has a picture of Bane, it looks like, in the back, and it looks like a little dragon statue, which could be a reference to Goliath, his pet dragon bat from the comics. There were a couple other things in the room, so if you have any idea what they could be referenced to, let me know down in the comments. We have Sean reveal that a skull was the one that did it, making Harley Quinn think that Brainiac was there, kind of going back to her dreams in the beginning of the episode, where a skull was attacking her. And I do love how they kind of set that up, teasing that Brainiac might be behind this, which ended up not being true, but I do love how they're kind of tying more into that Skull Brainiac theme. And I do find it hilarious that Bruce turned around and said Alfred wasn't dead. This is something he does because he's a drama queen. If he's not getting his way, he throws a fit to make everyone kind of freak out and do what he says. But because this is all Alfred's plan, they now need to find Harley Quinn before she does anything rash because she doesn't know what's going on. And I do think it's fun how they kind of all split off into their own little groups, where Joker goes with Bruce, still not knowing he's Batman. I think it was a little bit of fun dialogue, especially when they go to the sauna and they kind of have a heart-to-heart where Joker is telling him how to be a good father, which I think is hilarious because of the fact that Joker talks about how everyone close to him bites the dust, talking about Dick Grayson being killed, Jason Todd being killed, and his parents being killed, which is ironic because Joker did one of those deaths. So just more references where Joker is not putting the pieces together. And I love how Joker is the one to give him fatherly advice about how he never opened up to them when they were alive. And it's just the irony here, where Joker is actually the better father to his stepkids than Batman is to his sons. So I think it's hilarious how they're doing that. But that all leads to a confrontation from Harley, trying to figure out who murdered Alfred in the group when the Red X appears. And it's funny because Harley Quinn thinks Red X has something to do with Brainiac. Even though she doesn't know who Brainiac is, she puts two and two together with the skull faces. And when I was watching this, I'm like, you know what? Red X is 100% Nightwing. That's where we're going, especially after last season where he got thrown in the Lazarus pit. Which I was right. It was revealed like a couple seconds later. And I do really like that moment, how he's gone full crazy. At least it seems like he's gone full crazy because of the Lazarus pit. Because when people get resurrected through the Lazarus pit, they do come back a little bit more twisted than they were before. They aren't thinking as clearly as they once did. And I love how Nightwing turns around and says, you would have gone away with it too if it wasn't for the meddling Lazarus pits, which is a nice little Scooby-Doo reference where they're like, you would have gone away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids and their dog. Just a little fun reference to the more Warner Brother properties. And with him being Red X, that's definitely a nod to the Teen Titans series, because Dick Grayson's Robin briefly assumed the villain identity of Red X to get close to Slade Wilson. Eventually, later, a new Red X appeared, and I remember a lot of people theorizing about this character being Jason Todd, but it was never actually truly revealed whose identity it was before the Teen Titans show was canceled. He also eventually made his way to the comics too, just like how Harley Quinn did after the Batman animated series. Red X first appeared in the comics in Future State Teen Titans #1, a part of a possible future event called Future State, which I still need to read myself, and I'm getting very close to my reading order to do it. I'm excited to get there when I get there. But that was a fun scene seeing Red X appear. I'm not sure how many people are going to feel about this Red X, because a lot of people do like Red X from the Teen Titans series. Honestly, I need to rewatch the Teen Titans series to really see how I feel about it, but I did think it was a fun moment to see Nightwing appear as Red X, get this cool moment of him fighting and taking down everyone without a problem, showing how skilled Nightwing really is, and then having this really nice moment where Bruce stops him to apologize to him for not being there for his son. Like this good moment of Bruce finally realizing what it means to be a father, and all he ever actually needed to do was talk to him, realizing he needs to be closer to his kids, be a better Batman and better father. So hopefully this means Bruce won't be as much of a meme as before, and he will get better, especially that, you know, his girlfriend is actually the secret villain of the series, so maybe something will go along with that. But then we have Macaroni coming out, with Alfred putting on his other identity from this series of him being Batman's sidekick. What have they done? They massacred my boy so bad, but it was so funny at the same time for how much of a meme it was. Like, I wasn't laughing my ass off, but I giggled. It was fun. And I do love how it was Alfred trying to get revenge on Joker, Ivy, and Harley for everything they've caused and all the hell they've reigned in Gotham because of Joker Tower, which happened in season 1. The Parademons from season 2 because of Harley Quinn, and the Jazabas Jizza from the end of season 3 with Ivy. So each one of them has caused some big significant thing from each season so far, and I thought that was fun that Alfred's actually trying to get revenge for that. It's like this nice little callback to the previous seasons, while also just having these good moments of Harley being like, well, you know, we haven't actually been villains for a while, and Ivy saying she doesn't want to label it because they're not really anti-heroes, but they're also not villains. So I like that moment to play into the joke about, you know, how they've moved on from being those villainous selves they used to be. But then we had Macaroni go full Hulk mode as he injects himself with Venom, which is that serum that Bane fuels himself with to get big and strong. And I love how he says Macaroni mad, which is definitely a Hulk reference as Hulk mad. So I thought that was fun, having him destroy the place, them fight him, and when they're running away trying to get him to the bathroom to sweat the Venom out of him, we have him breaking through the wall with his face, and I'm thinking that's a Shining reference with him putting his face through the wall. At least that's what I was kind of getting there. And at the end of the day, it was all because Alfred was tired of being used and abused and being the person that has to come in and clean up all their messes while also not being recognized for all the work he does. Bruce doesn't even know his last name, and he's never getting the recognition and respect he rightfully deserves as the person that takes care of them all. But after getting him arrested once again, Bruce says that he's going to get him out of jail to come clean up the mess. So it kind of gone full circle where he was tired of everything, he went against everyone, and now he's just going to end up back to exactly where he was after they massacred his body by shocking him with his ankle bracelet, morphing him into kind of a different Alfred, which was kind of weird. What an interesting way to end Alfred's story in this episode. Honestly, I have no more thoughts on that other than, like, what the hell did they do to Alfred? Like, they butchered my boy. I mean, to be fair, it is a meme show. They definitely ruin a lot of characters where they take them to the complete opposite of what they usually are in the comics, which can be fun, but sometimes they go a little too far. In this moment, I don't know if they went a little too far, but I think they definitely went, like, somewhere. Anyways, after all that, we did have the Joker and Bruce becoming family kind of in a way, as Damian's now dating Joker's stepdaughter Sophia, and I think that's a lot of fun. Maybe he will find out that the Bat family is the Bat family, and he'll put pieces together as he slowly gets to know them as Damian's dating Sophia. I think it's just funny to call back to the comics how Joker knows so much about Bruce Wayne, how their hate for each other is what fuels the relationship, and how it's kind of like a cat and mouse chasing one another, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with it, because I think it's going to be fun, as Joker's kind of taking this step away from being this monstrous villain to being a caring father. And then we have Lois recruiting Harley to be her assistant to look into the skull. And Harley Quinn excited to do that, so now we have Lois joining the team to look into Brainiac, and I'm sure Harley's going to be the one to put together that Clayface is working in the Daily Planet, and something's going to arise from that. But this was a fun episode. Like, yeah, I love seeing the Bat family together. So honestly, just seeing the Bat family and having Lois kind of involved in it was a lot of fun. Having Red X show up was really cool, even though it wasn't exactly probably what people wanted. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I do like seeing those little Easter eggs and references for the greater DC universe. So let me know, what did you think of this episode? How do you feel about what they did to Red X and what they did to Alfred? And what are you hoping to see from the rest of the series? I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And you get to stay up to date with all my Harley Quinn and other DC and Marvel breakdowns. Also, on top of it, this weekend is Captain America Brave New World's release. I will be covering it and putting out a video at some point this weekend, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next week when it's time to watch another episode of Harley Quinn.